you all for coming, and all the fans and readers and customers that are coming too. I appreciate it. And just sit down and enjoy yourself. We've got food over here. Great.
Thank you.
I started out as an intelligence officer working for the CIA. Actually, I started as an academic on modern European history, and I decided that it was a little too sedentary of a life and career for me. So I left. I went to Washington, D.C. and spent the next 42 years working for the Central Intelligence Agency. And in that time, I had developed a real affinity for mysteries and thrillers. Obviously read a lot of history books and read a lot of other material working for the agency as an analyst. And I decided in my off time as a hobby, I wanted to start writing some mysteries and fiction. So I dabbled, and I eventually came up with a series set in the town of Naperville, just outside Chicago here. It's the town I grew up in. I consider it my hometown, and I thought I'd place a mystery series there. One of those books, the third book in that series, is Burning Altars right here, which revolves around the story of the burning of the Catholic Church, allegedly by the Ku Klux Klan in the 1920s. But then I switched. I decided we had spent a lot of time in Berlin. Our second daughter was born in Berlin. I should mention that I met my wife at the agency. We got married, raised a family there. It's not uncommon. And we were driving along one day, and I told her I wanted to write a story set in Berlin, since the town meant so much to us. I spent a lot of time there as a student, and also when I first started working for the agency. And we were stationed there when the wall fell and Germany reunified. So, it was a very tumultuous time, very exciting, just a great, wonderful experience, particularly for somebody who had concentrated on German and European history to be there for that seminal moment. So I said I wanted to write a story set in Berlin, but I wanted to make it right after the war. And I had an opening scene that I really liked, but I didn't have a character or a storyline. So I thought, I mentioned that to my wife, and she said, well, why don't you use my father's story to get started? He had been sent there right after the war as part of Operation Paperclip. That was the program where we would identify the German scientific and industrial elite and try and bring them to the States. And he moved into a house in West Berlin. It turns out the owner had the same name as my father-in-law, exact same spelling. So I thought I could use that as a point of departure, and that started this particular book here, Tears of Innocence. And it's one where he gets curious, begins to investigate this other fella, this German who has the same name, meets his wife, the man's wife, and through her gets involved in all sorts of things, one adventure after another in this post-war Europe. And at the end of that, he joins the CIA. And when I had to find a new publisher, they looked at the manuscript for the next book in the series, or the next book that I'd written, and they asked me if we wanted to make a series. And I said, well, the Cold War offers a lot of opportunities, a lot of good settings for mystery, spy thrillers. And they said, yeah, because we want to offer you a contract, but make it for more than one book. And I said, you got a series. But one of the things I wanted to do is that the work there, it was a wonderful career. I'd do it again in a heartbeat. And I wanted to do something that I think a lot of other spy fiction miss, and that's tie the whole work of intelligence to the real world of politics and policy. I mean, I think my background gives the books a certain plausibility and authenticity, at least that's my objective. At the same time, we're obligated to entertain. So you can't just make it a documentary or a history book. You have to populate it with interesting characters and all sorts of challenges and tensions, things for them to overcome. But I still try and keep it grounded in the reality of intelligence work as I always knew it and understood it. Well, I think there's on a number of levels. One is just the sheer sense of achievement you get when you finish a book and when you find out that somebody actually likes it and is willing to read what you've written and then come back and read some more. I was recently at what's known as the Northern Virginia Christmas Market, and I had quite a number of people who showed up to buy the entire Cold War series because they had read one book in the series and they liked it, wanted to go back for more and get the rest of the books. That sort of thing's very rewarding when it happens. Then there's, I guess, just the challenge that you face when each time you sit down to write, and it's a great feeling to feel that you've conquered that challenge, and that others may agree. Now, some may not think you did a very good job, but you learn to live with that because you write what's in you. You tell the story that you have inside you, and you tell it as best you can with the voice you develop. And if you can do that, then you can be really satisfied and happy in your work.
But still, there were people trying to keep me from going. Right. Because they thought I was involved in this, this conspiracy, which I wasn't. But
yeah.
no, I told you.